Hello and welcome. So, you've probably heard a lot about AI, artificial intelligence. It's getting smarter all the time, right? And it's making a lot of us ask a pretty big question. Will AI replace human translators? Is that job going away? Well, in this explainer, we're going to look into that. Let's get started.
Okay, but before we really jump into the big debate, I want to make sure we all understand a few key words. Just so we're all on the same page. It'll make everything else we talk about super clear.
All right, first up, what exactly is a translator? You might think it's just someone who swaps words from one language to another, but it's so much more than that. A really good translator understands the culture, the context, all the little things that make sure the real meaning gets across perfectly.
Next, we have artificial intelligence, or as everyone calls it, AI. I mean, you hear this term everywhere these days, don't you? So what is it? Well, to put it simply, it's all about making computers smart. Smart enough to do things that, usually require a human brain, like understanding what you're saying, making decisions, and, translating languages.
Okay, now for a really important word for our discussion, nuance. This one is key. Nuance is all about those small, subtle differences in meaning, the feeling or the tone behind the words. Think about it. It's the difference between saying, I'm fine, when you're actually happy, versus saying, I'm fine, when you're definitely not. That's nuance, and it changes everything.
And our last keyword is high stakes. A high-stakes situation is one where getting it wrong could be, well, really bad. We're talking about serious consequences. Imagine a legal document or instructions from a doctor about medicine. In those cases, the translation has to be perfect. There's just no room for error.
So here's what we've got lined up. We've done our keywords. Next up, we'll talk about the big fear. Is AI taking over? Then we'll look at some of AI's hilarious and not so hilarious mistakes. After that, we'll check the actual data on jobs, explore the future of humans and AI working together, and finally, wrap it all up with what you need to remember.
All right, let's get right into it. The fear. Technology is moving so fast. It feels like every day there's something new. And with that comes a big worry for a lot of people. Are our jobs going to disappear?
And that brings us right to the heart of our topic today. Is this fear real for translators? I mean, are their jobs actually in danger because of AI?
This fear became very real not long ago. The language learning app Duolingo, I'm sure you've heard of it. They announced they were cutting some of their human translator jobs and using AI instead. Whoa, the news went everywhere. People were calling it the start of the AI jobs apocalypse. It really looked like, okay, this is it, it's happening. But is that the whole story? Is it really that simple? Well, not quite. See, AI is amazing, it's powerful, but it is far from perfect. So let's take a look at what happens when AI makes a mistake. And some of these mistakes are big. This example is just perfect. So during the pandemic, a website in Virginia was trying to give out vaccine information in Spanish. They used AI for the translation. Now in English, we say book an appointment, right? Well, the AI didn't get the context. It translated the word book as a physical book, one with pages that you read. Imagine trying to sign up for a vaccine and being told something about a leather-bound book. It caused, as you can guess, a whole lot of confusion.
Okay, that last one was kind of funny. But some AI mistakes are not funny at all. They're actually dangerous. Get this is a real-world example. An AI tool translated the instructions for ibuprofen, the pain medicine, into Armenian. And the translation told people to take an anti-tank missile for their pain. I am not kidding. An anti-tank missile. This just goes to show how incredibly important humans are, especially in those high-stakes situations we talked about.
So we've heard some pretty wild stories, but anecdotes are one thing. What about the hard numbers? What does the actual data say? Let's take a look.
Now this is really interesting because it kind of goes against everything we've been hearing. According to official US data, the number of jobs for translators actually grew by almost 50% in a 10-year span. And get this was at the exact same time that AI translation was getting better and better. So even with better AI, the demand for human translators went up, not down.
And it looks like that trend is going to continue. The same people who track this stuff are projecting that jobs for translators are going to keep growing by about 4% over the next decade. To put that in perspective, that's actually a faster growth rate than the average for all jobs combined. So the demand is still there.
Okay, so if the jobs aren't disappearing, then what is the future of translation? What's going to happen? Well, it seems the answer isn't about humans versus machines. It's about humans with machines. It's all about collaboration.
This brings us to a new way of working called PEMT. That stands for Post-Edit Machine Translation. Here's how it works. It's pretty smart. Step 1. The AI does a super fast first draft translation. It's not perfect, but it's a start. Step 2. A human expert takes that draft. They're not starting from scratch. They just review it, fix the mistakes, and add in all that important nuance we mentioned earlier. And step 3. The final product is both really fast and really high quality. You get the best of both worlds.
And this isn't just some idea I'm throwing out there. The American Translators Association, a major expert group, says this is exactly what the future looks like. They see a world where AI and humans work together as a team. The AI can handle the easy, repetitive stuff, which frees up the human translators to focus on the really hard parts. You know, the creativity, the cultural details, and the true meaning that a machine just can't grasp.
Okay, we have covered a lot today, haven't we? So let's boil it all down to the most important things you should remember. And after that, as a little bonus, we'll learn a couple of really useful English phrases that came up in the research for this.
So here's the bottom line. Think of AI as an amazing tool, a great assistant, but it's not a replacement for a human. It just doesn't get that nuance, the context, the culture. So for anything really important, anything that's high stakes, you still absolutely need a human expert. The future isn't human versus machine, it's human plus machine. All right, now for our first useful phrase. You might hear people say, the genie is out of the bottle. What does that mean? Well, imagine a genie in a bottle. Once you let it out, there's no way you can stuff it back inside. It means something has happened that can't be undone. It's a permanent change. So when it comes to AI, the genie is out of the bottle. It's here, and we have to learn to work with it.
And here's one more for you. To throw a wet blanket over something. Picture this, you're having a great time, maybe a bonfire with friends, and someone comes and throws a big wet blanket on the fire. It puts the fire out, right? It ruins the fun. So when someone throws a wet blanket on an idea, they're being negative and killing the excitement. For example, some of the AI mistake stories we shared might throw a wet blanket on the idea that AI is perfect.
And that brings us to the end of our explainer. I really hope you found this useful. If you did, we'd love for you to join our community at Morozova School over on social media. You can find the link right in the description below. Thank you so much for watching.